Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This land of ours is under attack. The time has come, we're gonna take it back. Just wait and see. Don't tread on me. I won't sit back, stand idly by, watch the heart of my nation die. Oh, not me. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on my Bible, don't tread on my guns. Don't you tread on my faith in God's only Son. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me.
Hey everybody, this is Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly. Today's show is being brought to you by Monarch Windows and Doors, Mauser's Garage and Tire Center. Hey, you know what? Go out and patronize these guys. They fixed a tire for me. I know I told everybody this, but they fixed the tire for me in about 5 minutes. I mean, it was unbelievable. They had it all, fixed it, and put it back on my car, and I was going down the road. It was like a pit stop for Richard Petty or somebody. Anyways, Monk's Auto Body, Patriots.online, Fayette County Recovery Storage and U-Haul, 724-323-3833. Gunslingers. Gunslingers is in Connersville. Gunslingers Gun Shop and Tackle. They sell tackle. It's at 612 Snyder Street. And it's open Tuesdays through Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to 2. Their phone number is 724-707-4442. Solid Foundation Ministries. New Life Free Methodist Church, Highline Motorsports. Go out and see Greg. It's getting close to Christmas. Going to be at the kids something to ride around on. Hey, I'm sure he'll have it. Gun Owners of America, Hillbilly Jon Radio, which is on YouTube, and the new place I'm on is Your News. Look it up, Your News. You type in the zip code and type in Hillbilly Jon, and it comes right up. Jon Marietta for We the People, and the Ink Spot in Connersville. I'll tell you what, it feels like it should be Friday today, and I was a little bit under the weather Monday and Tuesday, but I tell you what, I've been kind of busy today. With some things at the courthouse. We had a budget meeting, and I guess I'll be coming in under budget again, so that's a good thing. I'll divulge some of that. I'll divulge some of that stuff as we're going on, but I picked this up today, and it's about why we need to vote biblically. The Bible says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to the people. That's Proverbs 14:34. With the presidential election upon us, I want to urge all believers to get out and vote. Think about it. We need to all get out and vote. Please go vote in person. Do whatever you can to get there. Pack a lunch because the lines are going to be long. Take a bottle of water with you. I would say coffee, but Melonie's with me and she'll growl at me. But anyways, take your time. Go out and vote. Frankly, I don't think we have any right to be critical or to complain about the state of our country if we do not take the time to vote. It's one of the few things we can do. We can vote and we pay our taxes, and that's what's important. I mean, for each one of us, and especially for Christians. Some might say, well, we Christians are not of this world, so maybe I'll just vote for Jesus. Please, Jesus does not need your vote. He has already earned a position far above any ruler or any authority or any power or leader or anything else, not only in this world, but also in the world to come. It's our responsibility as Christians to get out and vote. It's estimated there's 84 million evangelicals, and right now there's people saying that there's only going to be 40 million of them vote. That are able to. There's 84 million that are able to vote, and they're saying there's only going to be 84 million to vote.
Well, do you see what you're saying there? Jesus does need us to vote for him. because when you vote for righteousness, you're voting for him.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
correct.
come on, this whole thing, what we talked about last Wednesday. This is an election for good versus evil, for the righteousness of God, for saving the life of children. I don't understand how anybody, especially after the weekend. You know, Kamala was where was she? At a rally in a college, and the two boys spoke up, and the one said Christ is King and Jesus is Lord, and she told them that they were at the wrong rally. How can anybody stand up for her now when you see exactly what she is? She took the lid off right there, John. She showed exactly what she is.
And this is where we're at right now, and our republic is in danger.
And you know what? It's a republic. It's a republic. They talk about democracy. It's for the people, by the people, not for a select few that have the most money.
Exactly.
We are a republic.
And we elect servants. We don't elect leaders.
Exactly.
I probably am going to get a call sometime during this. Okay. So.
Did you see Nevada in early voting?
I didn't.
In early voting, it looks really good for Trump. President Trump.
I've been pretty busy with a whole bunch of different things today. With I got a court. I had to check on some court things and for a couple different people in the county, and then I had to dig out some. I tell you what, I can't say enough about my staff. I had an attorney call and needed something, and we got it right away for him, and it worked out really well. And I just want to thank all the people that helped support me at the courthouse, and my staff. These ladies are wonderful.
So you're under budget again.
I will be under budget again. It looks like if over the next 5 years, which over the next 5 years, counting this year and going forward, I'll say I'm going to be able to save the county another $250,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Just as your position.
Just
one position.
It'll be $250,000 because the company we were doing the company that we were doing our software through was going to raise from $65,000 or $67,000 up to $85,000 a year. And I tell you what, Fayette County needs to thank Greg Stenstrom because he's helped me out so much with so many different things. And this is one of the things he doesn't know he guided me through this, but he has guided me through this. And
he's an awesome guy.
I tell you what, yeah, and just by different things that he's told me and then helped me with, and this is where we're at. You're gonna need a set of headphones. I think we got a call. I think Greg's on the phone, isn't he?
Oh.
You with us, Greg?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, I was giving you some props there for helping me with setting up some of the stuff at the county. I really appreciate and for our software programs, and that's what you do, Greg. I mean, that's part of what you do in your life.
That's what I do.
And
software.
And you didn't charge the Fayette County one thing. You just helped us out. That's all.
Yeah. No, I don't. Friends and family rate 0.
So, Greg, yesterday we had you on the phone, and it was a little bit. I want to reiterate what we're doing. Melonie Lewellen's with me today too. Gina will be coming in. She's running a few minutes late, but we got a court date, and I need you to explain how that works.
You got a court date?
It's a Supreme Court.
Oh, right. Well, it's as firm as it's going to be. So, yes, the Supreme Court has docketed the case. It was filed as a. 1 second. I'm sorry. It's beeping. I gotta. So sorry, it's beeping. I'm in the car, so I'll be home in a second. The case was docketed as an extraordinary writ of mandamus, which is already, an expedited case. And the case number is 24-430. You can look that up in the SCOTUS docket. The petition and the appendices are there and the word count. So what they do is they assign a tentative date, and the tentative date is November 17th. Now, that could mean a few different things. So every Friday, once an extraordinary writ comes through, we also filed what they call a motion to expedite. So we're telling the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, is we have a case that's of an urgent nature. It's a writ of mandamus, which means we're asking for, in this case, an order for the DOJ to investigate election fraud, which is what they're required to do, but they haven't done as a matter of policy. And the elections, it's illegal. They know it. We submitted the evidence that they knew it was illegal not to investigate. So we expect that the Supreme Court hears it, it'll be a favorable outcome. So the next thing that happens with an emergency motion to expedite the Supreme Court, generally that goes to the justice, not generally, the procedures are the emergency motion and the emergency writ go to the justice assigned to the circuit. So we're here in Pennsylvania, we're in the Third Circuit, which would be Judge Alito, and there's 9 U.S. Supreme Court justices. So now Justice Alito is not only he gets it, but his staff, his clerks. He is a clerk, a head clerk, and a whole judicial staff that takes that writ and takes the motion, reviews and prepares basically a booklet for Judge Alito. All the case law, they have a whole package they put together. So Judge Alito, every Friday when the court's in session, which the court's in session now, every Friday the justices sit down with specific, cases to discuss with the other justices, and they discuss what cases they're going to hear and when they're going to hear them. So what we have asked is we've asked them to hear the case before the election because we want the DOJ, and quite frankly, they direct the FBI what to do. The DOJ is the people that swing the skinny end of the bat in terms of directing federal agencies to investigate. What we're asking them to do is investigate election fraud before the election. Their policy has been not to investigate until after certification, which is ridiculous. It's a moot point, and then which they admit themselves, because after the election they say, well, we're not going to investigate anything as a matter of policy because the election's over and certified. There's nothing we can do about it anyways. So it's a way traditionally the last years now, at least the last 8 years, it's the way the DOJ dodges not investigating election fraud. And one of the things that's important about the case is justices around the country, judges in federal levels, common pleas levels, federal levels, because there's no, the DOJ has been, quite frankly, lying and said we have no evidence of widespread election fraud, or they make statements saying there is no election fraud. The judges weigh that very heavily. If the U.S. Department of Justice says there's no election fraud, then they're the source. They must, we don't care that Melonie and Greg and Jon and people all over the country have videos and evidence of massive election fraud because the DOJ said there isn't, so there must not be. So that's what we're looking to change. The case will be heard either on the briefs, which means they'll review what we submitted, and they're going to review what the DOJ is going to submit in kind, or they'll ask for oral arguments. My belief is that the DOJ, it's an unwinnable case from their part without oral arguments. If it's decided solely as a matter of law and solely on the briefs, they can't win the case. It's a clear violation of statutory law. We have the evidence. We have the emails that shows that they violated the law, and they did so knowingly. So really the only option they have to, if they intend on trying to win the case, to do oral arguments. We also think that the Supreme Court, would want to hear oral arguments in this as well. So assuming, there's a lot of assumptions, but assuming that happens, the Supreme Court is committed to hearing election cases within 48 to 96 hours before the election. So we already have a date of November 17th, which is pretty fast anyways, as far as the Supreme Court moves. And depending on how the justices' meeting goes on Friday, between the justices, we may get a hearing I hope as soon as next week or early the week, right before, we're really at the election at this point. We're only 2 weeks away. So that's as much of an update. Jon, I may have raised more questions than I answered, but I wanted to give people a little background on what happens with the courts and, how they work and, the things just don't magically appear like lucky charms. It takes a lot of work there to work them through and understand the process. So hopefully that was enough information for everybody to understand what's happening with that Supreme Court case.
Well, Greg, this is Melonie. I'm just thankful that you came into this with Jon, and God's behind all this. For you guys to get to the U.S. Supreme Court, and for you to get the date as fast as you did, I just believe God's going to move. God's already on this, and it's going to be a blessing.
I think so. Well, I fervently believe so. I shouldn't say I think so. I fervently believe and agree with you that one of the questions the Supreme Court justices would ask, or the DOJ is going to challenge, is they're going to say, well, why now? Why did you wait 4 years? And our response is we didn't wait 4 years. We've been developing the evidentiary base over 4 years to show that the DOJ has interfered and obstructed election investigations. We can show that through a series of litigative stakes we've put in the ground over the last 4 years. And that includes some of the evidence that we submitted was, Melonie, your continued pleas with the county,
right,
where you asked them nicely, hey, we've got how many, 16,000 illegal aliens or non-residents on the voter rolls.
right.
Not all illegal aliens, but people who don't live there anymore.
That's Melonie
So-
Patterson.
That's Melonie Patterson. That's 1,700 they have, but they've already cleaned out. This is Melonie Lewellen, the minister.
Oh, hi, Melonie. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's fine.
But right now they've it's over 200. It's well over 200. We're on our way to 300 that they had to remove from the voter rolls.
Well, there's a clarification on that, John. They whether they removed them. Those the people that applied, quote unquote, applied for mail-in ballots. They had to be removed because the registered voters is one thing. People who, a dead person or a person outside of the county cannot request a mail-in ballot, application. They can't receive a mail-in ballot. So I want to clarify because people think, 200 or 300 is not that bad. Well, no, it's 200 or 300 people who applied for a mail-in ballot unlawfully. So I think there's a pretty big distinction there. And I want to make sure, I may or may not be correct, but I'm pretty sure that's the case there. Because that's the case here in Delaware County, and other counties. What we're finding is we're finding basically, not everybody, but we're finding dead people who have somehow applied for mail-in ballots. And we've also found people that are clearly not residents. And residency is an important word because residency, going back to colonial times and even current law, the definition of residency is where you lay your head. And the reason they use where you lay your head is it accounts for people who are transients, it accounts for people who are homeless. So basically someone who's homeless or might not own a property, if they lay their head in the county of Fayette, then they're eligible to vote there, as long as they can produce some sort of ID or proof of residency, even if it's, there's different standards for different places. But the reason that's important is because corrupt county officials and corrupt political operatives have realized in this election now that we're onto them and that we're checking the mail-in ballot applications. So what they're doing, and this is only in the past few days that we found out, is they're having like signing parties, and they have a bunch of people sit down, and they say, well, you're Bob Smith, you're Sally Joe, you're Mary Joe, okay, and you live or you rest your head on 5th Street and 8th, or 5th and A. You live at that intersection. And then they're just filling out the mail-in ballots, and they're saying that those are valid votes. That's one of the ways they react so quickly every time we, it's like that. What's a gopher game when you were a little kid, or a whack-a-mole. Yeah, you hit one and the other one pops up. So as fast as we address election fraud, they come up with a new scheme, and that's their new scheme is, well, we're going to, I don't know how many people they're going to, at that point, I don't know if I don't think it's politically correct anymore, but when I was growing up, when I was a kid, we called them hobos. So I don't know how many hobos they can have in Fayette County, but or people that don't have an address. But apparently, it's that's one of the just one of many mechanisms they're using now to get by what Melonie Patterson did and what people here in Delco and Chesco have done. I know Susanna Jacit did the same thing, and we have people here in Delco and Chesco that said, hey, these people, you can't send them mail-in ballots. They live in Germany. They live in Iowa. They've already put in a change of address. They don't live here, and they can't vote here, or they're dead, or any number of things. So I hope that sometimes I tend to over-explain, but I know we have some time in the radio. So,
we got time.
Is that helpful? Was that helpful in terms of describing what?
Oh yeah.
What that means.
And it's just like you say, it's not one big thing that happens. It's a whole bunch of little things, to put it in hillbilly terms. So I mean, that's just where it's at. I mean, people think that it's a great big cheat. It's not. It's just a little bit, and we already know, because our election director admitted that the election is only 89.1% correct.
What?
I mean,
right.
So we got. I mean, she did that. I mean, I got a guy that's willing to sign an affidavit. It said she said that in front of a whole bunch of people. She said they're hoping to get to 91 this time. Well, 91 is where I only did 6 precincts, and I found out that there was 9% in the mail-in ballot. So this is where we're at.
9% is a lot.
Yeah, 9%, 2% can change any election. Am I correct, Greg?
Oh, one vote, 10 votes can change an election.
Yeah,
one
but
vote.
I mean, in a national election, 2%.
Oh, national election, they're only allowed a 0.5% error rate.
Yeah, and we're talking, and they're admitting that they got a 9% error rate. So, well, actually, 10.9%. So this is where we're at.
There was a real important ruling, and I want to bring it up. There's a real important ruling that came out. It's now a battle between corrupt judges, literally a battle between corrupt lawyers and corrupt judges. And I'm going to say they are corrupt from a perspective of they're shopping different courts in different places and shopping for judges to come up with rulings to basically stop election integrity. So in Pennsylvania Supreme Court, a week and a half ago, in response to cases brought by the League of Women Voters and the ACLU and the Republican Party, different cases, but the PA Supreme Court, in essence, said, oh, it's too late. We're not going to do anything. No one can do anything before the election. So it's a completely ridiculous ruling. But what it does is everyone who's reporting, like, our cases where at the common pleas level and the Commonwealth level, and people are already reporting election fraud, which we are. We're already seeing evidence of election fraud, use of uncertified machines, and the voter, processing ballots from people they know that are dead. We're already reporting this election fraud, and we're asking for changes. So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which I believe is a political body at this point, it is not a they rule as a matter of politics, not as a matter of law. They said, well, it's too late. We can't, no one can do anything about this election. We're not going to do anything that could change, the election. And anything is, they're saying, it's all speculative, which is another problem. You can't rule on speculation. You can only rule on what is. But so the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that, and you heard down in Georgia, we had a lower court, I think a Superior Court judge said that he said he gave an order that they must certify the vote no matter what, regardless if there's election fraud or they're required to certify the vote no matter what, which is another ridiculous ruling. But we just had a ruling come in the last, I think in the last 24 or 48 hours from Arizona, from a federal judge, in American Encore versus Fontes, where he said all these premises are ridiculous. What the arguments of these recalcitrant and corrupt public officials is, well, we need to get a final tally so we can do a final certification. And he just said that's a ridiculous premise. It's final when you've complied with the law and it's accurate. So they said that their argument, and believe it or not, this is the DOJ's argument, which is a corrupt argument, and the argument of these corrupt officials is, well, it's better to only disenfranchise a small amount of voters. That's literally their argument. It's, well, if we have a little election fraud, we're only disenfranchising some people. That is literally the legal arguments they're using, and the judge said that is insane.
Yeah, it is.
Because now we have judges that are coming out, and literally they're putting in their rulings like, this is insane. It's an insane argument. Because what the judge out there ruled, and it was a very lengthy opinion. I'd love to read, if you can pull it up, American Encore versus Fontes, page 36. The judge wrote a very eloquent sentence, and he said, look, at however long it takes, we have to be accurate. If there was election fraud, it has to be investigated and adjudicated. If the count's not right, for whatever reason, the machines didn't count it right, then this has to be investigated. We're not just going to certify an illegal, election that's not accurate. Now, well, John, I would call that hillbilly simple, and I would say it's incredibly direct. We have crazy people, quite frankly, in the country that they're so deranged and so concerned that President Trump might win, or is probably going to win, that they use illogical and crazy logic. All right, I'll stop there first. Take a breath.
Well, one of the things that we're and I know you're on board with us with all this, but most people don't realize the amount of energy and time that we put into this. The people that are sitting beside me here, they understand. Mm-hmm. And Greg, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. I mean, now we have the Republican Party coming against us. Of course, you had to go and fire them up at the Elon Musk thing. So, but anyways, Greg,
I missed that.
Greg got to speak to Elon Musk, and he told him. He said that this is where we're at, and he gave him a copy of the book, The Parallel Election. That's what Greg wrote, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing that these people, and he was dumbfounded because he didn't know that this happened.
So Elon Musk is aware that you guys are going up before the U.S. Supreme Court.
Oh yeah.
So if Elon Musk
is now,
then President Trump is aware of it.
Well,
we got 30 million tweets. A guy, George Behezi, who was very popular, he posted and got 5 million hits, and then Elon Musk retweeted George Behezy's tweet, and we're up to 30 million. I think we were at 30 million yesterday. So 30 million tweets.
That's all in support for you guys doing what you're doing.
Correct. And we've also got, it looks like we're going to get some that they call amicus or amicus briefs, depending on where you're from and what part of the country. I heard some people say amicus. It's called an amicus curiae. And an amicus curiae is a friend of the court. And we have, I'm hoping and I expect, I've been told that there's going to be state attorney generals and some attorneys of great renown to the public that are going to chime in on this. And we're waiting for their amicus briefs, which they'll be filing with the Supreme Court in support of our writ.
How did you get up to what motivated you to go up to Elon Musk? How did you approach him? How did you get there? Is what I want to know.
It's real.
Melonie, I know that question. God, absolutely. I know where you're going, Melonie. I know where you're going. I got an email. It was. I got a text, and it said Elon Musk appearing in Folsom, PA. Apply for your tickets. I live about 15 minutes away. So I applied, and then it came back and said, no, you didn't make it. And then I wrote an email to the organizers, and I said, said, hey, we got cases, we got books, I would really like the opportunity to be there. And then they accepted it. So then I got there, and I was first in line, and there were I don't know how many thousands of. I'm serious, first in line, there were 1,000 people. Praise God. And then I went in and I got in front of I sat down in the second row right in front of where the mic was for people that they could speak. And we had a bunch of RNC people, state and local RNC people who, I'll just say, the hate goes at least really hard one way. I'm not going to say it's entirely mutual, but some very, very angry people who didn't want me to speak. And they had a guy come up and take the mic and then try to walk back. And then when I got to the guy, I was following him up. And he said, he goes, I'm not kidding you. He said, I've been told that you have to go to the back of the line. And I was like, not happening in today's sport. And
Was he bigger than
goodness.
you, or was he smaller than you?
It doesn't matter.
I just
Weren't you in the Marines?
No,
Yeah,
Navy.
Oh, the Navy.
No, nobody's bigger than me when it comes to putting on put the full arm. Melonie, you know this. Ephesians, put on the full armor of God. I put my Hulk armor on every morning. And
why do you think I called you about 4 or 5 months ago? And I said, Greg, the Lord told me I need to pray with you. Remember?
Yeah, I do. No, I've called you a couple of times looking for prayers when I needed them.
Yeah.
For people who are listening.
We got to give God the right of way to move in our lives and to move in the situations. And the Bible says, no weapon formed against us shall prosper.
Yeah.
So,
well, John Quincy Adams said, ours is, we have the duty, the decisions are up to God, but we all have a duty. We have a duty to step up. And if, I want to say something to law enforcement and the people, good public workers there. I can see where this, they're coming at me pretty hard, which will come out. The things that they're doing, against me are pretty dramatic, especially in the last couple of weeks. But to be a Christian means to stand up. It's part of being a Christian is to stand up and say something when you see something wrong.
Yeah.
And for people who are, I'm going to let Melonie. I'm queuing you up, Melonie, for the last.
You are. I put a post on Facebook this morning, and I said,
I read it.
What about pastors? Should pastors be silent concerning what's going on? And they should. Ministers and pastors, they are to guide and direct according to what God's will is for the people and the planet. And if a pastor sits back and keeps his mouth shut against partial birth abortion and doesn't come against Kamala Harris, they're wrong. And they're going to stand in judgment for that, because when you accept that position of a pastor or a minister, an evangelical, a prophet, you're working for the Lord. And you have to be responsible, and you have to take that into consideration, because you're going to stand there alone in judgment. And he's going to say, if you kept your mouth shut, when you stand before him in judgment, he's going to say, why didn't you say what I needed you to say?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why didn't you tell the people?
Well, that's, I want to bring that point up specifically, is we get a lot of calls from whistleblowers. And I understand, I always respect a whistleblower who calls and says, hey, sometimes they don't identify themselves. Usually I only take calls from people who identify themselves. And I promise that, I'll keep them confidential. But I get a lot of calls. And I've had law enforcement officers, sheriffs, deputy sheriffs, police, municipal police. They're seeing the fraud going on. They're sitting in election centers. They see it going on. U.S. Postal Service workers see it going on. People inside of the boards of elections and inside of buildings, they see it going on, and they'll tell me. They'll come out and they say, Mr. Stenstrom or Greg, it's, this is what they're doing. It's just crazy. It is insane that they do this. But, I'm in no place to judge anybody, but I say, I understand you're fearful, but it would really, really help if you said something. And, the police usually say, well, I got a house, I got a mortgage, I got kids. Mm-hmm. And I think this may be our last election.
I think
if people don't stand up. It could be. I'm not a doomsayer.
I'm not a doomsayer either, but the way the world is right now, we are living in the last days. There's no doubt about it. We are in the last days. And God is...
It's not looking good.
Well, God's giving this nation one more chance. I preached this, it'll be 2 weeks ago this Sunday. You know King Josiah. King Josiah turned the tide. He turned Israel back to righteousness. He found the holy book. And he grew up in a situation with evil for generations. His grandfather was evil, an evil king. His father was an evil king. And then he took the throne at 8 years old. And he was guided. And that's God there, too, because that wickedness had to go away from him. So 2 righteous people, the scribes and a priest, came and they showed him, sheltered him, and showed them the ways of God and showed him that. And when he was 18, he reformed it. He reformed that nation back to God. And we have one more chance to reform this nation back to God, to do what's right, to vote for life, because that's what you're doing. People think, oh, I'm voting for me and what's best for me and my country. No, you're voting to save the life of a child from partial birth abortion and abortions on demand and a woman's right to just commit a heinous act against the life that's within inside her body. And God's looking. God is sitting on his throne, and he's looking. And ministers and pastors and church members need to get out there, and they need to speak it out. They need to vote for righteousness, and the only candidate there is for that is President Donald Trump. Simple as that.
Well, I do think we're in biblical times.
Oh, yeah.
We're definitely in biblical times, and I think this is a battle at this point. This isn't a political battle. It's not a battle between Democrats and Republicans.
Nope.
This isn't a football game. It's not the Eagles versus the Cowboys, or who's the Pittsburgh Steelers' big rival? I guess who would that be?
Ravens.
The Ravens. But this isn't a football game. This is for all the marbles. It's for your soul. So people you
just said it right there. It's for your soul. Where will you spend eternity? If you support somebody like Kamala Harris that is for killing babies,
a counterfeit candidate.
Yeah, number one, yes, she was. Nobody gave her a vote. And if anybody supports her, it's an abomination to God. It is an abomination to God what she believes, what she wants to do. And you see people and you see Christians wanting to support this woman. I'm like, dear God, don't you know what you're doing? Don't you understand what you're doing?
No.
You're going to stand before God one day when you leave this earth. Mm-hmm. And he's going to remember how you voted on November 5th, 2024.
I feel like they don't understand, though, because
they understand. They just don't care.
Do you think they understand, or do you think they're so focused on their party and they're they
have a hate for President Trump. They hate him. Trump derangement syndrome. You talked about that earlier, Greg. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's just against President Trump, but even to a bigger extent, Melonie, the people I deal with, because I'm in the thick of it, and I deal with people, they resent God. It's not that they resent Donald Trump. Right. It's a resentment of God. It is a hatred. I mean, I have people who are, I'm an atheist, but I hate God. Like, well,
if he's an atheist and he hates God, he does believe in God. You understand that?
Absolutely.
If you're an atheist and you hate God or you don't believe in God, you have to know there's a God to not believe in him or hate him.
Right.
Exactly. Well, that's the logic they're using with the elections too. It's illogical and it's a little crazy. But I want people to know that they're being gaslit by crazy people, and that one of the things I love about. I fell in love with Fayette County and the western part of the state, and Appalachia. Appalachia, I heard this weekend. I was down in Virginia, and by the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I think there's a historic and biblical and sense, a common sense, a sense of duty to God and duty to their communities. That it's a great place to live, and I want to keep it that way out there.
You know what? When I was growing up, churches were full. Parking lots had to be expanded. Sometimes there were so many people going to church that they had to park on the streets when I was little. And then that all has changed. Many churches have a handful of people in them. When you come back to Fayette County, Greg, I'd like you to come out and see the church. Let me know when you're coming back this way.
Oh, I will. I tried to make it out the last couple of times, but I just, couldn't make it out. But I'm looking forward to it, Melonie.
We got a train ride to Washington D.C. first. I got to take. So
pray on that first.
Yeah, we got to get through that. So I guess I'll get on the. I intend on getting on the train in Connersville and I'm going to head to Washington D.C. I'll be like.
When are you doing that?
Probably on the 16th of November.
No, I'm praying it's earlier.
They'll let us know. When they let us know, well, there's a good point on that, because since 1945, this is something to pray on, Melonie. Since 1945, 79 years, they've only heard 84 petitioners, pro se petitioners. So the way
That's
it works
amazing.
is you get a half an. It is amazing. You get a half an hour to present your case, and then there's a half an hour for the defense to make their case. But one of the things that I'm planning on doing is I'm the lead petitioner, but my plan is to only speak for 5 to 6 minutes just to present the outline of the case. And then when the judges, because there's 23 petitioners, and in Fayette County it's Jon Marietta, Jon Hillbilly. It says right on there, Jon the Hillbilly Marietta.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Greg, if Judge Alito is going to call me Mr. Hillbilly or the Hillbilly.
Yeah. but our plan, my plan, we've been talking, and you have Gino Gallo and you have Melonie Patterson on the case. Susanna Jajit, not far from you. We Ashley Duff, Darlene Schmale.
So all these people are going to be there.
Yeah, everyone will be there. So, my plan is to sit and when the justices ask different questions, because they will ask questions, is to, look at who the most appropriate person is to speak, because I don't want to speak for everyone. There's 23 petitioners, and I think it would be appropriate. Everyone involved has spoken before the courts. Jon has spoken before the courts. Gino has, Melonie, everybody on that list of petitioners has been before a court of law.
Well, I think you'll get to speak without being interrupted this time. What do you think?
Hopefully.
I think so, but I hope that Jon Hillbilly Marietta, it would be a proud moment for me. That people will be able to speak. And I think that the justices will respond to that more so than it'd be a little unconventional. But as long as we're there, and they're going to hear, if they do hear a pro se case, my plan, and I hope, I know I've already talked to a few people. I talked to Jon. I said, if we get the opportunity for, I don't think all 23 people will get to speak, but I'd like to see 3 or 4 people get to speak in front of the Supreme Court so they can hear from the people.
Well, you know what? Everybody's talking about an October surprise. Everybody's, October surprise. That's all you've heard about, October surprise. I think this is it.
I hope so. And, I want people to, I always plan for worst case. And I want people to know that, the Supreme Court, I said in the writ was that there's a constitutional crisis coming one way or the other. But this case gives them a choice of when. Is it going to be before the election, during the certification, after certification? A constitutional crisis is coming. And the U.S. Supreme Court is the final arbiter of law. And they're going to have to speak sooner than later.
Do you realize the justices that Trump put on there were put in
Say again?
motion? Do you realize the justices that Trump put on the Supreme Court when he was in there?
I was thinking about that the other day.
Exactly what God was lining all of this up to for your case, Jon Marietta and Greg?
But we're gonna do our best.
Wow.
Greg, we only got about a minute left, and I gotta.
I'll let you go.
But I really appreciate it, and I want to thank you for everything you've done for us in Fayette County, and it's been good.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you too, Greg. This is Gina. I haven't seen you in a while, but I'm excited for your case to go to Supreme Court. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
But a lot of people don't understand. This is going to come back into the courts in Fayette County.
Yeah.
After this is, we're going to be in Western Court, right, Greg, and then probably in Fayette County Court again also. So.
Yep, we'd like to
We'd
like to give the judges the opportunity. Again, justices and judges were a little bit crippled because they didn't have that evidence, and I hope some judges will reconsider based on the evidence now. So I know, Jon, you got to close. I can't thank you all enough, and
thank you, Greg.
God bless.
I'll be talking to you this evening.
Have a good night, Greg.
Okay, thank
Bye,
you.
Greg.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I appreciate everything everybody's doing here, and a lot of people don't know how much work is being done behind the scenes to get this to happen. I want to publicize this on October 26th. This year, 2024, there's going to be a vendor and craft show at Fairchance Fire Hall in Fairchance. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on October 26th. A vendor and craft show at Fairchance Fire Hall in Fairchance from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Go out and support these people. They're trying to raise some money, and they're in a vendor show, and the crafts are good. The other thing I need to tell everybody is, right now we're up over 2.5 years. From over 2.5 years, the Republican Party is. I want to thank everybody that's helped get everybody registered. We're up over 8,000 people right now. Anyways, on this road called life, you have to take the good with the bad. Smile when you're sad, love what you got, and remember what you had. Always forgive, but never forget. People change. Things go wrong. Just remember, the ride goes on. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. I am Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly.